2 words, more Soundwave, yeah! We are looking at NewAge's H21W Karate Kid, their version of a roughly Legends, or I guess at least third-party Legends scale, G2, not G2, Shattered Glass Soundwave. And this is a really cool figure. It's funny because back before I really got into more like Legends scale stuff. Not to say that I'm huge into it now, but you know, in my earlier days of all of this, I remember seeing the Magic Square New Age versions of Legends scale Soundwave and being like, you know what, I'm gonna get the Magic Square version because I think it looks better. I don't really know what I was thinking because the New Age mold is actually really cool and it does a lot of really clever stuff. I actually did own this this mold, not this figure, but this mold before. I mean, I've had this one for a fair bit anyway, but I had the black version of this, the Sound Blaster version, and it was really cool. But I really wanted to, you know, like I have like a small Soundwave and Friends shelf, and even though technically Sound Blaster, depending on how you look at it, could be viewed as Soundwave of a sort, it still in my mind was kind of bugging me that it wasn't really Soundwave, and also I just really liked the weirdness of the Shattered Glass Soundwave. And I didn't trust the Generation Selects version of Shattered Glass Soundwave enough with all the yellowing plastic problems that I've had and other people have reported with like other figures. So I was just like, I don't feel comfortable with that. So here we go. New Age has had a Shattered Glass Soundwave. I got it, and I really like it. It is really cool. The mold is fantastic, and the deco on this guy is ridiculous, but I love it. As you can see, got his 3 little cassettes. He actually does come with cassettes, and they're all Legend scale, which means they're very tiny. So I'll do more proper size comparisons later, but if I bring in an actual G1 cassette bot, in this case Overkill, you can see that they're very small. These things are very, very small. And Soundwave here is only a little bit bigger than an actual G1 cassette. This thing looks so yellow compared to this. So yeah, that's it. The different versions of this come with different figures. The Sound Blaster version that I had before came with what was it? It was I believe Buzzsaw, and I don't know if it was just Buzzsaw or if it came with anything else, but this guy, as you can see, comes with 3, and we'll be looking at them more in detail later. There's really nothing to go over for their alt modes because they're all just little boxy shapes. They don't actually look like cassettes at all. They're just folded up robots because they're so small. Like they're not gonna fit. They're not gonna like. You know, there's no room really to do much with them, but they can go inside Karate Kid's chest. They just pop in. They just pop in, and the door pop in. Not this hard normally. They just slide in there. Door closes. Door closes. Why door no close? Why door no close? I don't know why this is giving me trouble all of a sudden. I guess it's just a certain way that, there we go. So yeah, you can close them up in there, and that's it. He can only hold 1 in his chest, but he can hold them, and that's it. They're just shapes. We will look at these more when we get to the actual robot-ish modes. So now, Soundwave himself, he is a box. That's it. He's not maybe as tidy as other versions of Soundwave, but like 1, he's small, and 2, I think what he does works pretty reasonably well. And I'm not a fan of the weapon storage being required to keep him from falling over, because you can see these are kind of load-bearing. That does kind of bum me out, as if I remove these real quick. cheat the transformation a little bit because these are actually kind of difficult to remove without detransforming them a bit. But I unplug these. They plug in very securely, so it's a little scary trying to take them out. I worry that the pegs are just gonna like twist off, but there we go. It's this one in particular that's really snug. But anyway, if we remove those and then put this guy back into his tape deck mode, and you can see that without the weapon stored back there, it does not stand up, which stinks. So it does kind of suck that that's how NewAge decided to approach this, but at the same time, I do appreciate there being weapon storage, and like the way this is designed, I don't really think there's any other way that that they would fit. Put that back in there. So yeah, it's fine, and it does fill in the back, but it just kind of stinks. There's no other storage option, but whatever. Anyway, here's a box, and they use this for the most part. Like there are definitely some spots where he doesn't use it, like you can see right up here in what will become the obvious robot mode shoulders. But they use this really nicely painted, like metallic-y pearlescent white for a lot of stuff, which looks really good. And also, I think means you don't have to worry about the plastic yellowing because it's painted. Other than that, the deco is really simple. It's just a white box with some robot junk on the back, and on the front you've got the blue lines here, the silver for the door, and like the button and the little bits up here are painted, but this doesn't do anything. This is just molded. You just have to manually pull the door open, which is fine. But yeah, there's no other stuff to it. It's all in the front, and then also the play, pause, stop, go, fast forward, that kind of thing. That's all kind of typical Soundwave stuff. As I said, he's a box. So not really much else to say about him in that regard. And let's just move on to size comparisons. So this guy is, as we've covered, he and his minions are quite small, and you can already see Dinobot back there being kind of towering over everything. Let's bring the usual suspects in here. So there you can see how that all measures up to the cassette mode and not the cassette mode, the cassette player, cassette deck, whatever mode, and the actual cassettes. So that is how all of those measure up. And then we'll bring back Overkill. Bring this back down. So there we go. Bring back Overkill so you can see how that measures up again as a reminder. And also, almost forgot Burnout. There's Burnout. So Burnout is massive compared to these guys. And finally, for our most important size comparison, here is Karate Kid and his minions with the duck tank. Now, before we turn all of these things into some manner of robot, if you like this video or any other videos that I've done on the channel and you would like to support the channel, I do have a Ko-fi or Patreon. Links to both are going to be at the end of the video and down in the description. Also, if you'd like to support without spending any money, which I completely get, you could do the typical YouTube thing of like, comment, share, subscribe, that sort of stuff. Now to start with the transformation, and we will start with the little cassette bots because they are the simplest. First, there is Ravage, and transforming Ravage is, again, super simple. There's a little tail back here you can flip up. Get that out of the way. Take the little forelegs and rotate them down. Take this double hinge and hinge it out on both sides. And because of the nature of the hinge, you can also, look, I actually prefer to do this, is hinge them back a little bit to give them like that sort of digitigrade quality. So you can do that. Take the back legs and rotate them down and bring down the legs at what counts as a knee. With all that done, can angle the back a little bit, just kind of angles up, and then the head and neck can swing out and leave us with a very, very small and very angry blue and white jaguar thing. It's so small. But that's kind of what makes it so. That's kind of what makes it so cute. I mean, it is what makes it so cute. So off to the side he goes. We'll look at the red one. I don't care. I really don't. So don't try to correct me whether it's Rumble or Frenzy. I don't care. But to transform this guy and unpeg the arms from these bits, there's a little peg there, a little slot on the back of the arms. So unpeg this, swing those forward, swing the legs, swing the legs down, swing the feet out. Now the hips, well, you want to unpeg. Like, they don't really peg, but they kind of, the geometry here makes it, they don't really want to move. So you want to move them out so that you can rotate them and then bring them down on that hinge to straighten them out. So bring it out, rotate it around like so, and then hinge it down. There we go. And that is legs. Can bring the arms back down. Now for the last of it, the head flips up. These little bits here actually flip out, make his little back wings. And I think that's really cool that they actually, like on this scale, they incorporated those. And then slide this up, and there you go. There is Tiny Robot Man. In Tiny Robot Man mode. And again, very tiny. Very, very tiny. And finally, Rat Pats. This guy is probably the most complicated of them all, but not really saying much. You want to flip the head up on that strut, flip down these little boosters, flip out these little bits on the back here, and then flip these in. Like so. Take the wings, and you want to fold them out. And just unhinge there, and then these rotate out and straighten out. Go here. Just flip that down a bit. We can rotate that out, flip it out the rest of the way. Take the feet and rotate them out or forward. Then you want to slide the back section up, or slide this, I guess more correctly, slide the stomach section down, which is a little stiff, but it does slide down like that. And then you take the head and flip it all the way forward. And there is Rat Bat. And yeah, the shape modes on these guys are very simple. They don't really look like cassettes, but like, I absolutely respect how they managed to pull off a really impressive Rat Bat, Ravage, and this guy at this size. Because again, these are small. They're bigger. They're slightly bigger than Titan Masters, but they're small. Actually, let me just make sure they're bigger than Titan Masters. This is a preview for what we're going to be looking at later in the year. But here is the Robot Man with the Titan Master, and he's a little bit taller, about a head taller than a Titan Master. So that's how big they are. And in case you're curious what this little gray fellow is a preview for, there you go. So yeah, we'll be looking at him later. But yeah, these things are very tiny, so I really, really appreciate and even respect, well, especially respect, what they managed to do with these things at this scale. That is wild. But now we come to the main event, Karate Kid or Soundwave himself, and this transformation is pretty interesting. It's not quite as involved as something as, say, Robot Paradise's Acoustic Wave, but it's really impressive what it does. There's a lot going on, especially with the legs. So to start, I'm going to do what I did before to get these weapons unplugged, because it's just scary how that pegs in. So I'm going to take this piece and flip it forward, because that gets it out of the way of the legs. Untab the legs from up top here. Unplug those. And now with those unplugged, you can kind of angle this down and start wiggling out the weapons. Unplug that. And okay, it was a lot less scary this time. Maybe there was just some flash in there that came out. I don't know. But there we go. Weapons are out. And let's just look at the weapons real quick. So you don't have to do anything with the shoulder launcher. Actually, they're both shoulder launchers. What it is he comes with this as like a separate piece. So you just pick one to plug it into. So these are both, aside from this little bit on the end, these are both the exact same weapon. So this one, I'm just going to leave it as is, put that off to the side. This one, there is actually a slider in here, so you can pull these sections back. You can see there's a little separation line here. So you just pull back, and it does kind of click. So you kind of want to pull until, maybe I should plug it back in to do this. So we'll plug it in and pull. Oh, that's really in there. Okay. Spudger time. Spudger in there. There we go. I got it unclicked. And pull, and this should click into position when it's extended, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It doesn't really need to. It's really stiff, but yeah, it extends it a little bit. So there's it extended, there's it not extended, so you can see the difference. All right, now back to the robot transformation. So with this all done, we can bring the legs down, and let's do the legs. Why not? These are actually really cool. So what you want to do is the legs are kind of, there's like a tab in here that's tabbed in here. You just kind of want to pull this up a little bit to pull that tab out. There you can see the tab. It just kind of rests in here. So pull that out so you can hinge this out. And as you hinge this out, this piece here is actually going to come in to fill in the rest of the leg, which is really cool. I like that. So that's that. Now, this panel folds in, and that will fold into a point and then stop, because there's like a little groove in there that goes over this strut here. So when that stops, what you want to do is bring this in the rest of the way, and this tab will now tab into the top side of this, and it will push that panel down the rest of the way as you bring it down. And you really want to push that in, and that will tab in place to make the little knee assembly. And it keeps this out, it keeps the leg more centered. It's really interesting and clever how that works. Now, I want to take this piece here, this whole thing flips out like this. And with this flipped out, now this will rotate around like this. This piece flips up. This rotates in. This rotates around and back. There we go. And now this will rotate back in, kind of inverse on how it was. It was rotated around the other way, like this double hinge was, this whole assembly was rotated around this way. Now it's going to rotate in this way. But you want to rotate it on this inner hinge, not this one, but the other one, because that will line it up with the rest of the leg so that when this goes in, that finishes off forming the leg. And that's really cool. And then finally take this little piece here and flip that up, and that will sit in there. And this is kind of cool because it pulls double duty. It cleans up the back a little bit, gives them that little like back of the calf slope, and it also acts as a little brace against this piece to potentially keep it from flipping back in. Not that it's going to, because it's pegged in really solidly there, but that's really cool. I like how that works. Now with that done, you just rotate the leg around, and there you go. One leg. Second leg, same deal. Just pull this out and extend it all the way. Flip this piece in, and then rotate this all down, and then tap it in. Now we'll just rotate the leg now. And what's a good angle to show this from? Now we're going to rotate this out, rotate this around, rotate this around, rotate this around, flip that down, and then swing this in. That was actually a lot smoother doing it that way. And then take this panel and flip it up, and that's leg number 2. I really think that there's not a lot to the leg transformation. It's not that complex, but it's so interesting and so clever how all of these little pieces move in just the right way. And in a lot of cases, you can't even accidentally move them the wrong way. That's really cool. But like it changes everything and reshapes everything. And it's so cool how that works. Like these were the tops of the sides of the cassette player that are now like those telltale bulkier sides of like the outsides of the ankle section on him. That's really clever. Anyway, now I'm going to unpeg the arms from the little bit back here. You want to unpeg them and swing them out a little bit. And I guess we'll just angle those up because we want to finish up the lower body by flipping the hip skirt, flipping the hip skirt up, then rotating the leg assembly below the hip skirt around 180 degrees. Flip the hip skirt back down. And actually, no, we'll keep the hip skirt up for now because what we want to do is take this back piece here, fold these two pieces in, and then this will swing in and kind of tucks in here. Then with that tucked in, now we can bring down the hip skirt. And there we go. There is the lower body. And now we can rotate above that piece around. That's a lot like what happens with acoustic wave too, where it's like the waist assembly has a swivel for the waist and then also a swivel below the waist too, so that this ends up on the front for the cassette player mode. Anyway, now with that all done, I want to get the arm panels out of here. And one thing to note, you actually want to pull this down first to pull these out, because when this is in place, the way that this has to go in, it doesn't really fit. So you kind of want to pull it out a bit and then push it in and then close this up. So this closes kind of over these panels that swing out. But pull that out and swing these two panels out. Then these swing in and tab into the side of the torso, as you probably expect. There we go. And flip out the hands. And then you can leave the arms like this, but what you actually want to do is extend them. And they can be a little tricky to extend. So what I end up doing is bending the elbow. So like you bend it, you can see there's a little slider there. Just keep bending, and it should pop that thing out. And once it's popped out, then you can straighten it out and pull until it kind of clicks into place. So again, just give that a little bend until it pops out, straighten it out and pull, and then keep pulling until it clicks. And there we go. There are the arms. And the head is exactly what you think. Just fold this down, flip the head up, close that up. There we go. Or there we almost go. We actually need to bring this back, and this will just tab into the little spot right by his head. And that gives us Karate Kid in robot mode. And that's actually a pretty cool transformation. Again, I really, really love the leg transformation on this guy. It's really simple, all things considered. It's just very, like, it doesn't require a lot of steps, but it accomplishes a lot. It's very intricate, I guess. It's not complicated to do, but it's the kind of thing that seems like it was incredibly complex to design, and that makes me respect it a lot. But yeah, here is Karate Kid in robot mode, and he looks like Shattered Glass Soundwave. He's got that predominantly white color scheme with a little bit of light blue and neon green and a little bit of some gunmetal, shins, waist, around torso, that kind of thing. He looks really good. Also a little bit of black for the fists and around the arm section. But yeah, he looks really good. The color scheme on this guy is a bit more simple when compared to other Soundwaves. There are some details that the cartoon version, the Toy Colors version, all that stuff, pull off. Like, they have more detail, but that's not the fault of the toy. That's the design of Shattered Glass Soundwave. So I don't really, like, I'm not really complaining that, like, oh, this should have more color, because this is what the Shattered Glass Soundwave design really kind of looks like. It's just, if you're looking for a version of this that has more detail in the design, in the paint deco and stuff, maybe look for, like, the Toy Colors version. That said, he is actually covered in paint. Like, there's so much of that pearlescent, pseudo-metallic paint on this guy. Isn't this sitting quite right? No. Yeah, I really like that. I think that could have been rough with, like, paint mismatching and whatnot, but, like, really the only bits on this guy that are unpainted white plastic are the shoulders and biceps and, like, these little bits here. Everything else is like that pearlescent white, and it looks really good. It's a little bit of an off-white, but it's not really obvious unless you're looking at it under, intense lighting. And even then, it's not like it's bad. He's extremely clean. You've got this kind of butt skirt thing sticking out a little bit, so it's got the, cassette player buttons on both sides, but that's fine. And, like, it's a little bit messy back here just internally, but, like, it's not bad at all. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, noticeable that this bit back here is kind of open, but again, not a complaint. He's a really, really clean, really clever design. It is a little bit, as I'm looking at it, a little bit like, seeing the screws on the sides of the legs here, but what's the alternative, Like, if they put them on this side, then they'd be front and center for the cassette deck mode, and everyone would hate that, so I don't mind this. And yeah, colors are great, and I love the design. This figure is so cool. Yeah. Now, looking at the head, which is difficult to do because this guy's so tiny, it is Soundwave's head, but because it's Shattered Glass Soundwave, it's got that added benefit of the silly little headband that goes around the back and even is kind of tied off back there. And that is so ridiculous, and I absolutely adore it. So good. And like, I love too that they had to mold that in. This isn't just painted, it is molded. It's slight, but it is molded in there, which means they really aren't going to be using this head for much else than the G2, or not G2, I keep saying G2, the Shattered Glass figure. So I really appreciate that. Now, the blue and the green next to each other, there is a little bit of, like, muddiness there color-wise. Also, this flap is a little loose, but that's not too bad. I can fix that. It's not, like, floppy. It's just, like, it's not flopping around. It's really easy to bump out of place. But anyway, the green and the blue are a little bit muddy when they're put next to each other. It stands out really nicely on the white. The blue stands out really nicely on the white. But when you put the two together, it is a little bit muddy. Makes me kind of wish that either the blue was darker or the green was brighter. But if the green was brighter, then it would probably, not work with the white as well as it does. And if the blue was darker, then it would not really. I don't know if it would look right. So I don't know. It's not bad. Like, you can still tell the headband is there. It's just the blue, the green, the blue, like the blue with the greens for like both the headband and the eyes. It is a little bit muddy looking, but the silver faceplate looks really nice. Like, it's a really nice sculpt. It's a really nice paint job. It's just the color choice does bleed together a little bit in the head. Now for the articulation, as you probably saw, the head is on a ball joint, so you can get some side-to-side tilt. You can, of course, look up like this, but there is actually a cut that allows you to look up as well. So you can look up and down a bit, and then, of course, rotate left and right. Pardon me. So there's plenty of articulation there. The shoulders are on ball joints that can go all the way around. You get a little bit of butterfly wiggle, and then they can go out to 90. You've got bicep rotation. You've got a double jointed elbow. When you extend the arm fully anyway, you get a double jointed elbow. And then the wrists are on ball joints, so they can rotate, they can wiggle a little bit, and you can also point them down if you want. I believe he also comes with alternate hands, I'm pretty sure. I just don't feel like digging them out of the box. Sorry. The waist and rotate, as we saw in the transformation. And does he? Yes, he does. He does have a 90-degree ab crunch. So you can use an ab crunch with Karate Kid. The front skirts do get out of the way. The back skirt, not really. Like, you can unpeg it, but like, this is part of the transformation to peg this in, so you kind of don't want to. So with the the front skirt out of the way, the legs can go up to past 90 and go back to almost 90. So that doesn't really get in the way that bad. They can go out to just about 90. And really, if you don't move the front skirt out of the way, they can still go forward a decent amount, so you don't have to mess with this too much. You get a thigh rotation. You also get a little bit of rotation at that ball joint at the hip. And then for the knee, it is a single bend, and it goes to just about 90. And unpegging it will not make the knee bend more, because it's basically like, I guess it bends slightly more, but yeah, you're not, like, I don't think that's worth unpegging the knee. So we're just going to peg that back in. And then, as you may have noticed, you do also get ankle tilts, and the ankle tilt is substantial. So yeah, he's like a lot of New Age figures. He's small, but quite posable, and he looks really cool. So he is great. I mean, he's great for many reasons, but that is a thing that is very great. Now, before we talk about his buddies or this thing, I do want to say the other thing that kind of bums me out about this guy is the light plastic coupled with the light, like the light window is obvious, but like the light plastic that they used for the body means that those screws inside the torso are so obvious. And when this is just like this, that's a little unsightly. I don't really like the screws being in there. That said, I just usually have this guy in his shape mode and just jam him into the chest. But yeah, that's a thing to keep in mind. But here's the gun. It is the same as this. As I said, it's just got the little thing on the end, and I can peg into his hand. Also, something of note, if you want to store this or the other thing, it, I believe, can actually peg in to the side here. I feel like I did this before. Maybe I didn't. Whoop. Nope, I'm wrong. It's not pegging in. yeah, no. So I guess if you wanted to, you could peg it into the spot where it pegs in for transformation, but no side storage, but it's fine. And this can just peg into his hand, and now he's got his gun in addition to his shoulder thingy. And yeah, this guy's pretty expressive, and he looks really good. I really like this. Now, for the little red guy, he is a little red guy. For the size, this is really cool. The color separation is good enough that you can tell what's what. I like that they did paint a little bit on him with like the silver in the knees, the kind of coppery gold in the chest and waist section, though the bits in the chest, it's a little bit faded in the light. That maybe needed a little bit extra paint on there, but it's also extremely tiny, so it's whatever. And they also painted the face silver. And yeah, looks pretty good. The articulation is actually there in a lot of cases. He's got ball jointed shoulders, so he can go all the way around, can go out, and kind of wiggle a little bit. The elbows are also ball jointed, so you can bend to a little bit past 90, and also that works as like a bicep rotation, kind of. There's no waist rotation, which I think makes sense. And then the hips are on ball joints, so you can wiggle those a little bit to act as like a thigh swivel. You can go forward quite a bit, can go back to about 90, can go out to 90. You can use this joint if you want, but don't really think it's necessary. The knees bend to 90, and then the feet, if you want, can bend forward a bit. They can't go back, but they can bend forward. And actually, I think I forgot to mention, the head can look up a little bit, and it is on a little ball joint, so you can rotate the head as well. So yeah, I think it's amazing how, like, just the engineering behind this guy. I don't care about the Rumble and Frenzy thing, but I think the engineering behind this is amazing, considering how small this is. And we'll leave him out. I was going to put him back in Soundwave's chest, but decided not to. Now, Rat Bat, again, some nice little detail for what it is. The boosters do look kind of massive on the back, but it is what it is. And the transformation on this guy is also really clever. The eyes have been painted silver, and again, that's really tiny. And you also have some silver paint on the insides of the wings there. So there's some really nice detailing on this guy. And articulation, you can just kind of move the head up, which looks bad, and move the wings up and down a bit, more than a bit. And you can flip these up if you want, and then you can also rotate the feet in or out. And that's all you're going to get for this guy in terms of posability. I mean, it's Rat Bat. He's not, he's a bat. He doesn't really, like, none of these guys, aside from the figures that are designed to look like a humanoid person, like a humanoid transformer, this guy generally doesn't really have much in the way of articulation. So there's that. Oh, also the dark blue I like on this guy. I like the dark blue and white and the coppery gold. And now Ravage, who's just adorable, and it's just the light blue and the white from Soundwave proper. And this guy is fun. I love this thing. There's like no paint on it except for the eyes, which again, super duper tiny. But I really like this guy. I think he's actually my favorite of the little bots because he's so just tiny but expressive, even though he's just like a little puma, jaguar, tiger thing. Not tiger, but you know what I mean. He's just a little cat thing. He's also reasonably well articulated for the size. Like the hips are on ball joints, so they can go in and out a bit and rotate. And then you can also move the back knee a little bit. The back, as you saw, can move up and down. You can wiggle the tail up and down. The forelegs can go out a little ways, can rotate, and get just a little bit of rotation side to side. And then you've got the double hinge here that can work for all kinds of positioning of the leg. I just prefer to have it back there. So yeah, pretty posable. But then like even the head is actually kind of expressive, because you can move the neck up and down, but then the actual head is on a ball joint. So you can look down, look up a bit, you can rotate, and you even get a little bit of side-to-side motion. And that's cool. Again, considering the size of these things, that's some really nice articulation on this little Ravage. And I love him. He's so cute. He's small enough that someone could accidentally swallow him, but that's really cute. I really like him. Now, as for incorporation, you can't really do anything with Ravage or the red guy because, like, I mean, they can stand there and look neat. He does not normally have a problem standing. It's just, you know, it's like a fabric backdrop thing that he's standing on. But like these guys don't really incorporate with Soundwave at all. Ratbat actually does, though. There are these little spots on the forearm, these little metal spots right there. They're actually magnets. So you bring in Ratbat, and there's little screws on his feet. Put that over the spot on the arm, and it holds in. It's not like, you know, it'll shake out. It's not the strongest magnet, but it's not gonna, like, if you shake him, he's not gonna fall off. It's stable enough. And that is super cool. I like that. This is mostly this is how I have this guy posed, because it's Soundwave. I feel like you gotta have, if he's got a minion with him that can perch on his arm, then you gotta have him displayed with a minion perched on his arm, you know? Because it's Soundwave. That's how he do. Anyway, there we go. There is NewAge Karate Kid all rat-batted up. Bring in Ravage and the little red guy. And we'll zoom out because he's so small. But yeah, there we go. And now let's finish this up with one more round of size comparisons. So here is Dinobot, looking gigantic. And Over Prime, our tall deluxe surrogate. And Samus. So there is Karate Kid with the usual size comparison trio. And we'll bring in Burnout. So you can see that he is a fair bit smaller than Burnout. And we already saw this, but we'll bring back Overkill. So there they all are together there. That was a lot of theirs. And let's move on to one more thing. Here we've got Robot Paradise's version of Ravage. You can see just how much of a size discrepancy there is between these two Ravages. That's really funny to me. And then Robot Paradise's version of Laserbeak, who's also gigantic. Bring back Ratbat here, who's roughly the same size as as NewAge's Laserbeak. That's how they measure up. And of course, we got to bring in the big fellow, and let's get everyone on board here. So let's get Laserbeak back on there, and Ravage down there, and zoom way out so we can actually show everything on camera. And here is the pair. There is NewAge Karate Kid with Robot Paradise Acoustic Wave. And it's just really like I feel like there's no question in my mind that of the two of them, this is the better figure, which I feel like says a lot because usually I have a bit of a distaste for Fans Toys stuff in terms of like I don't want to get into it. Like they make good stuff, but it's a little bit pretentious, for lack of a better word. Maybe someday I'll go into depth about why I feel that way. But point is, even with my personal, I'm acknowledging this is personal, hang-ups with Robot Paradise / Fans Toys in terms of like as a company, this is an incredible figure. But at the same time, like he basically comes up to this guy's knee. The fact that they were able to pull off a Soundwave that looks this good and has this much articulation and such a clever transformation at a third, maybe even a fifth of the size is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Get him out of here. I'm being very careful because that laser beak does not like to stay pegged into the forearm. And to round out this little bit of a train wreck, that's always 50 minutes. That's all my recordings lately have been around the 50-minute mark. But anyway, here is the squad with the duck tank. And that does it for NewAge Karate Kid, and by extension, other versions of this mold. It's all the same. Like, it's the same mold. So, no matter which one you get, this is the figure you're getting. It's just the deco that's different. But I adore this guy. He is really fun to mess with. He's small, which just kind of adds to the charm of the whole thing. I absolutely adore that Ravage. It is just ridiculous. It is fantastic. I don't know what else to say. This is just a really cool set. I like that he comes with 3 bots, even if he can only accommodate 1 in the chest cavity. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let me do this to show you all what I was talking about before. But yeah, it's a really, really nice set. It's really clever how it all works. I'm still in awe of the engineering on, like, not just like Soundwave's engineering, Karate Kid's engineering is great. Like, it is extremely clever. I really love what they were able to do at such a small scale. But I am just entranced by the little cassette bots because they are so small. So small. And yet so effective. And they transform very quickly, but like the engineering is so clever. And now, let's do the thing that I was talking about and cover up those nasty visible screws. So we'll just pop the red guy in there. And, pop him in there. Come on, why aren't you going in? Why are you not? Oh, that's okay. I forgot about that. Something to probably mention. When you peg this in, that little peg actually sticks down a bit. And that can get in the way of the little cassette guys. So maybe pop them in first and then bring that down. So if you peg it down all the way, it's not going to fit. But yeah, that I think is a little bit better, just having something in the chest to cover them up a bit. Cover up those screws. So there we go. There we have Karate Kid with his trio and one of them hiding in his chest. And again, it's a fantastic set. I love this set. If it comes down to choosing between that and the Robot Paradise Soundwave, I recommend Robot Paradise Soundwave over this just because it's such an excellent figure. But for the size, for the price, this is extremely cool. And it accomplishes so much. And I completely forgot there was one other size comparison I meant to do. So here we go. Core Class Shockwave. He's a little bit bigger than a Core Class figure. That's how amazing this engineering is. So yeah, this is a great figure no matter what deco you get him in. But that's been enough going in circles. So that has been my look at NewAge H21W I think. My screensaver went on, so I can't see what it says now. But they're Karate Kid, their version of Shattered Glass Soundwave. Again, great set, worth getting. But what are your thoughts on this guy? Any of the other multitude of decos NewAge has done with this set, or Magic Square Soundwave, or any other Soundwaves? Why not? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. Chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see what the next video is about.